Good morning. Good morning, doom scrollers. I just have a small lozenge, a butter menthol, so that I can. I'm mindful that I cough a lot during these sessions. It's a bit tricky because normally I have a coffee in the morning, coffee, and then I come out in the brisk um, Perth autumn air, and it's obviously what makes that what makes that happen. This is day 19 of the 20-day challenge that I've set for myself. And there's a few things going through my mind. One of them is this idea that I was inspired to understand through the context of astrology. Astrology is a system of processing what we're feeling and seeing in the world and what we're all part of, which takes its cue from the actual clockwork of planets in and their motions in relation to where we stand in the middle of all of it. So it's a geocentric perspective of the solar system and of the cosmos. And from that perspective, even though all the planets are moving around the sun, from that perspective, it seems sometimes as if those planets are speeding up and slowing down in their orbits because of exactly where we are in our orbit around the sun. So it's a bit like watching a video of a Formula One car taking off. And as the you know the shutter rate or the frame rate of the video is trying to capture all of that motion, it looks like the wheel's moving forward and then it looks like it's moving backwards. It's just a visual effect due to relativity. Excuse me, I am going to try and be mindful of this coughing. It's frustrating me even. But in that seeming forward and backward motion, something happens that astrologers called retrograding. And retrograding just means that from our perspective, the planet seems to stop kind of in its motion and then station and then go back to where it was. Now, I don't need to give you a class on astrology here. Really, what I want to point out is that when I started tracking what the implications of what that was psychologically, it means we're progressing into something and nature almost fires a warning shot over the bows of what's going to come. And we just sort of lean into this reality and then something actually drags us back. It happens with Maya, our 3-year-old. She has progress with toilet training or with using language or with using a fork to eat her dinner at the table. And then we think, oh, she's through the gate. This is locked in. And then she regresses. And then we think, oh my God, what have we done wrong? And we've learned now the wisdom that we haven't done anything wrong. That's literally how integration happens in the body. Different aspects of us go ahead and touch something and play with an idea, but it isn't quite fully integrated. And so we kind of regress so that we can get in touch with the previous version of ourselves, also so that we don't lose something of value in that old version of ourselves, so that we sort of bring those two things together and then move forward. And in that idea, I'm thinking about this is day 19 of a 20-day arc, and that means that we're getting close to the end of something. And I want to premeditate the ending before the ending. Because at some point I'm going to come back and I'm going to share my synopsis on the whole 20 days. So I want to look forward a bit, knowing that at some point I'm going to look back, if that makes any sense. I think there's some wisdom in that. Contemplating how we'd like to end a thing kind of puts us in mind into a way that we want to hold space for that, close that space, do the distillation of that arc of intentionality so that we can draw the most wisdom and meaning from it. Yeah, and see things that we maybe would have missed, just like that retrograde action in astrology. So that's what I'm thinking about today. So that said, we're all rushing about, right? You may be squeezing this in, listening, half listening. Can we together here now make this such a moment where we just stop and don't arrest the intrusions of everything that happened previously in our morning, in our day, yesterday. Can we clear our cache? Can we pause all of the tabs that were open on our psychological browser of our consciousness? And can we just be here for a moment? Just present here with each other. Presence is what deepens connection, and connection is what deepens meaning. And how intentional and connected can we be in this little moment together? So that's what's going through my mind. That's the invitation for you if you're listening. Um, I'm thinking ahead towards the ending of this exercise. And I'm also thinking of this idea that comes up when I think of numbers. I invariably, because I did such a deep dive on the major arcana in the tarot and looked through that holographic lens to all the contexts of meaning that come together in such a rich focal point, I'm reminded of the 19th card, which is the sun. The sun. And it's a picture of a young child, a golden child, beaming, almost like a little triumphant body posture that is completely unconcerned by the mundanity of the world or the limits of the world or the things that you can and can't do. It's just pure originality, pure potentiality, there's a triumphant sense of the puer aeternus, the eternal child. And I don't mean that to mean the internal infant. It's not like a Peter Pan syndrome, although that's the shadow side of it. It's that heart of originality inside of all of us. And there's two things that I'm thinking of. The one is a parting gift, which I'll maybe read another day, but this is a passage from a book of mine called The Hearth and the Well. Now, it'll be represented backwards on your screens. It's jam-packed. It's a small little book. You can read it in a day, basically. And I highly recommend it. It's very digestible, very relatable. It's very spacious. It's invitational. It's very invitational. Who just joined there? I didn't see. Somebody joined. Who was it? All viewers. I can't see who it is. A mystery viewer has joined. This is a poem from that book. And this book is really an initiatory sequence back into the sacredness of your own life, but without any spiritual mumbo jumbo. And just to give you a sense of what I mean, it says here, this is the first lines of the book, really. It says, sacred does not need to have anything to do with shared or imposed ideas of religion or God or whimsy. Sacred does not need to have anything to do with shared or imposed ideas of religion or God or spiritual whimsy. Sacredness is simply the answered wish to discover something deep, foundational, and meaningful about this world. Sacred is simply the answered wish to discover something deep, foundational, and meaningful about this world, and our sense of very private gratitude and belonging that we get from that encounter. And it's in that kind of spirit that I'm talking about the re-initiation into the originality of it all and into the eternal wellspring of imagination, actually, that we inhabited so much more easily when we were children. My lovely wife just joined. I've got an audience of just you today, love, and then one other mystery person whose name didn't show. But what I wanted to read from is towards the back end of the book, and it's called Close Your Eyes. It says, close your eyes and be guided home. Now, obviously, I'm not recommending somebody who's driving in traffic to close their eyes. And there's a recorded version of this that exists on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, that you can listen to, and you can find it on Substack as well. Close Your Eyes, it's called. And it really is intended to be a kind of meditation. So listen now and then maybe come back to this later, or go and get one of those recorded versions and go sit with it in your own time so that you can make contact with this intentionality that I'm talking about, to be reinitiated into the originality of it all via the originality of yourself, which is really what the Sun card in Tarot is all about. It's almost towards the end of the arc. And here, right towards the end of a 22 card arc, or my 20-day live experiment here on Substack, it's this invitation back into this idea that what we were seeking all along, or what we were trying to find or uncover or liberate all along, was that childlike innocence in us. And it's not that we want to have no wisdom or no adult sense of boundaries or duty or responsibility, is that our sense of adult boundary and duty and responsibility exists exactly so that we can make room and treat as sacred that the heart of originality, that perennial inner child, and its lightness, its sense of dreaming and wonder and what is possible. What is possible. We need to hold space for that. And this is what this poem is about. It says, close your eyes. Close your eyes and be guided home. Now, as I read this, I do want to invite you all to consider what I call the duncehood of the literal. The duncehood of the literal means that literalism, taking things at face value, thinking there's only one obvious dictionary interpretation to a word, not considering the poetic or the archetypal meaning of such a word, means literalism isn't neutral. It actually flattens out what ought to be regarded as having depth or profile or relevance or context. And we can lose such meaningful, sacred salience when we take things literally. So drop the language of the literal for a moment and read this with me. Close your eyes and be guided home. Call a dear friend to read this aloud for you, or find my voice and I will gladly say it again. Close your eyes. Forget the road that you were trying to follow. Put down the urgent demands. Set aside the ceaseless drama of finding your way forward from the here that isn't real. Will they not all be waiting for you, same as they ever were? Close your eyes. Let them rest now, and wait a moment and become. Wait a moment and become deaf to the world also. Be led along the path of your breath by the quavering touch of its secret fire. Be pulled into the dream. Be pulled into the dream at the center, among the roots of the world where you began, where the soft animal in you makes its burrow, where it goes to be timid and afraid. Wait a moment and become deaf to the world also. Be led along the path of your breath by the quivering touch of its secret fire. Be pulled into the dream at the center among the roots of the world where you began, where the soft animal in you makes its burrow, where it goes to be timid and afraid. Let yourself sink. Let yourself sink like water seeps into soil, the way fallen leaves fold presently into loam, forgetting forever the cold silver sky and bright sun. There is a whole world of activity that is happening below our conscious waterline. And it's a rich, deep, profound inner life for which we usually don't have any meaningful sense of language, and we don't feel native to any longer. We're no longer native to our own sense of originality. Let yourself sink. Let yourself sink like water seeps into soil, the way fallen leaves fold presently into loam, forgetting forever the cold silver sky and bright sun. And see here with your closed eyes, see here in the warm night, there is something being spoken, a chant or a secret, both seductive and familiar, like a fluttering of wings, of moths around an unseen lamp, of birds changing perch in the dark. Feel the twisting, limbless vine a coiled thing of ancient sinew that moves in you like a current. It's no accident that the Kundalini is always represented, or so often represented, as a coiled serpent. It's actually what Kundalini means. It means coiled. Yeah? And see, here in the warm night, there is something being spoken. And I said the other day, there is a form of love that we can encounter, that we can feel and express only with closed eyes. And the invitation to that little meditation is this idea, this archetypal idea of touch, something that is done with eyes closed, yeah? And see, here in the warm night, there is something being spoken, a chant or a secret, both seductive and familiar, like a fluttering of wings, both seductive and familiar. The most profound sacred experiences are when we feel something is inviting us in, but there's also the sense of it feels more like remembering something than learning something. Yeah. Both seductive and familiar, like a fluttering of wings, of moths around an unseen lamp, of birds changing perch in the dark. Feel the twisting limbless vine, a coiled thing of ancient sinew that moves in you like a current. Here is the womb. Here is the belly of the world where the earth gets its secret fire. Here, here you are never alone. Here you are never alone. When the child is in the womb, inside that first world that it belongs to, the one feeling I cannot imagine associating with that experience is a form of loneliness, because this is prior to being a sense of an isolated self, isolated from the world. It's completely held within the world. There is a part of us that yearns again for this is what it means to be whole and to be home. It's to have that sense of profound and utter belonging. Here you are never alone. Here you are never hungry. Think of the experience of the child in the womb, tied to the umbilical cord of the mother. How does it even know hunger? It never has to go and fetch its own food. Yeah. Here you are never alone. Here you are never hungry for a morsel of direction or hope. There is only the navel of awareness and the way in which that holds you in the vast and undulating stillness, and how it makes everything yours, how it makes everything yours and creates a universe around you. Let the cell walls of time dissolve. This hardness that we have, that we associate synchronicity and science. You've joined at an interesting moment. I'm talking more about the synchronicity side and that the way that scratches our itch. And we're talking about this idea of sacredness and the fact that it doesn't have anything to do with shared ideas of religion or God or whimsy. It's simply this answered wish to find something deep and foundational and meaningful about the world in our very private sense of gratitude and belonging we can get from such encounters. Because, of course, we live in both worlds. We live in the world of the sensible and of the science, but we've lost our footing, our native belonging in the other world, which the world of meaning, which allows all of that science to make sense in the first place. And we've atrophied that. And I'm reading a poem from my book called The Hearth and the Well, and the poem is called Close Your Eyes. And it's about returning to our states of originality. Here you are never alone. Here you are never hungry for a morsel of direction or hope. There is only the navel of awareness and the way in which that holds you in the vast and undulating stillness, and how it makes everything yours and creates a universe around you. Let the cell walls of time dissolve, dissolve. Let what is clenched unclench. Let everything that was alone, and let your heart keep time. Let your heart keep time. You know that our breath is our first truth outside the womb. But inside the womb, it's this shared synchronicity between our heartbeat and the heartbeat of the mother that we are held in. And that's a metaphor also for our truth. This pacemaker, this timekeeper, is actually our original timekeeper. You know, when you get anxious, your heart speeds up and time kind of dilates and changes, or vice versa. And when you're mellow and you're in the moment, time kind of slows down. Let the cell walls of time dissolve, dissolve. Let what is clenched unclench. Let everything that was alone. Let your heart keep time. Let your heart keep time. Dream the chrysalis dream, that the ancient child in you may awaken. Because what it sees is promise. What it speaks is truth. Its native language is vulnerability. And what it hears is the word we call calling, our Dharma, this invitation that the world is extending to us, that we are an unfolding of. We are here to become the invitation and the welcome that we feel so sorely denied by life. What it sees is promise. What it speaks is truth. Its native language, vulnerability. And what it hears is calling. What it hears is calling in both senses of the word. How it feels is real. What it wants is love, and what it dreams is wonder. What it is the soul of life, unbound by time, beauty, pure and simple. Beauty, pure and simple, undiminished by words. And on its lips, the question, welling out into our waking life as tears and tiredness and longing, carried in our prayers for meaning, asking and answering, how am I a gift to the world? How am I a gift to the world? And how is the world a gift to me? And that to me is this secular kind of invocation or prayer or consciousness primer that I use to sometimes reinitiate myself out of the mundane busyness and the digital clutter and the noise of our left brain reductionist world, back into that state, that sense of originality, of meaning, of a native citizenship to an inner life. And really, if we reflect back on this whole 20-day arc of finding voice and going live on camera and just speaking my heart out, the whole point of that is to point out this wound, the psychic wound that we all feel between the reality of our modern life and this missing piece. This, I say, soul is what is missing when life feels wrong. And it means there's something that is innately missing that we can't put our finger on. Because our world of digital interfaces and that left brain reductionist thinking, it's very necessary to navigate and parse a complex life that we've created for ourselves, that we help create in the world around us. But it's a very poor modality by which to have the whole conversation of life in. And that atrophied part of us, we can say that we made of this illness, this reductionist illness, we've made of that illness. I want to know your name, whoever's writing for Synchronicity and Science. I want to call you by your name, please. I say that this left brain reductionist reality. Mark, nice to have you here, Mark. James also joined. Lovely to have you here, James. And James, I assume we're going to meet up offline. I'm going to first say the sentence and then I'll explain it. We made of the illness a dungeon, and within that dungeon, we imprison and torture the cure. And so soul is what is missing when life feels wrong, and our left brain reductionist reality that we think is our whole reality is like this emissary, this project manager of our life that is all about the anal retentive detail and solving problems and doing this and doing that. And at some point in time, we ceded our entire control to that mouthpiece, and we've allowed this essential, the king in the actual court, to atrophy, like Theoden in Lord of the Rings, that scene where Grima Wormtongue is whispering in his ear and he becomes frail and decrepit. We've got that all the wrong way around. We've allowed this faithful servant, which is not fluent in language of love and meaning We've allowed that now to drive the magic from the kingdom and the soul from the palace. Right? We actually have to restore that balance. And this piece that I've just read, Close Your Eyes, is the way that I do this. And it's an invitation that I'd like to extend to all of you. And that's what this whole arc of meaning has been about. Now, my battery's about to die, so I'm going to wrap up. That's a good sign for me that I need to bring this call to an end. But please go and find that piece, Close Your Eyes, and sit with it. And then you'll understand what it's designed to do. Ass backwards, it's designed to restore that sense of originality and our native belonging to that kind of inner life and developing what I call an inner life. Yeah? So that we can restore soul to a world that is deeply missing it, because all of our models of leadership and our incoherence and our arguing and our pettifoggering, our egotistic pettifoggering that we do on every single level of human engagement and interaction in relationships, parenting, at work, at the supermarket, all of it is unnecessary bullshit. And so much of it is a contrived operating system to take place of this one essential aspect that could just be restored and resolve 90% of all that huff-huff. And we're living inefficiently. And the reason we're getting so overwhelmed as a species is because our operating system that we are trying to subscribe to is completely overwhelmed. We need a refined operating system, and we need to know what to cut away and what to retain and how to refine that. Yeah. But we can't let the left brain make that call, because it wants to reduce and analyze and analyze and analyze to death. Yeah, that's how we got here. That's the illness that is now imprisoned and is torturing the cure. We now need to wake up the cure. We need to wake up our this inner child, the puer aeternus. And there's lots of ways of describing that. But that's the heart of my project. That's the cure for what we need in the world, if such a thing exists. Because human beings in deep and profound relationship with that aspect of themselves will automatically know what better looks like and what better feels like. We won't have to have so much arguing and deliberation. So 10-minute short Australian film, breathless, peripheral but important. I'll make that recommendation. Gentlemen, and ladies, let's hash this out. Let's get together. Let's make it happen. The A Better Way project exists to get thoughts and people and souls like this together, making something happen in the world. Making something happen in the world. Not just talking about it, not just writing about it, actually practicing it live. So come and find me. Please come and find me. Come and get across what we're doing. My battery is literally about to die, so I have to sign this off. But I'm excited. Let's go. Let's go.